Okay, so I was sitting at the University of Chicago campus in the building of like the art buildings, the art department buildings, and I was sitting there with my notebook, and I was thinking about time, and I was thinking how people were talking during that time bunch on the internet, how like how time isn't real, and I was thinking about that. I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do they mean? Like, what is everyone talking about? And so then I was thinking about time, and I had this clear like mental video that like just like popped into my mind as I was thinking about time and like what it really is, and I was blown away because it was like there was this video in my head that like showed up, and it was just like showing uh like the Big Bang idea and like the beginning of the universe of matter, and like all of these I saw like the Big Bang or whatever as like a visual, like a simulation of like a video of like the idea of the Big Bang to try to like explain something to me. I'm not saying like I saw the Big Bang, you feel me? And so there was this Big Bang, this like spark in space, and then like all of these like planets and like materials were like flowing out from this point, And then it was like this clear like feeling. It's like I was watching this movie, but I was also sensing it in my body. I was sensing how there was no time, as like the once again, it's like a video to try to explain something to me that popped into my mind. It's not like trying to like represent how reality actually is. So like it was just saying like imagine like planets coming out of this Big Bang moment, and like all this dust and like all these different things, that are like materia. And then like as I was watching it, I could sense how there was no time. I could sense how it was like it was timeless. It was like there was no time passing. It wasn't about time. It was about like things are now moving in space. But it was like the now moment that had no time. Like things are moving, but there's no time. It's just now it's here, now it's there, but it's like a feeling in my gut that I felt of like the feeling of like the absence of time. It was really bizarre. Like I slightly feel it right now, but like man, like when I was sitting in that building and I had this moment come to me, I was so excited because I was just like I cannot believe that like this happened. And so uh it was the coolest moment ever. And from that point onward, I'm like, you can't tell me nothing about time. You can't tell me shit about time. You can't say a fucking thing to me about time, motherfucker. Now I'm not sure that I'm right because I don't have a degree in physics. I'm not sure that I'm right because maybe this like total like clarity moment is somehow not quite accurate according to actual like people who think and know these things like in science and math. But you still can't tell me shit about time. Since that moment, I'm like, you can't tell me nothing. Because every time any video that I have seen talks about time, it's always like some kind of like, they always talk about it in this like roundabout way that doesn't say anything. And I'm like, you're not saying anything. You don't get the concept. So I don't trust what you're saying because I'm like, the way that I understand it is so clear. I can explain it because I already have like like time is a reference to the slice through of all the things that are in flux because life and existence is motion, and time is just referencing like how like the slice of all that is, and showing you the phases of every single process in existence, trillions and trillions and trillions of processes in existence. Time is just a reference of like the universal location, like it's a reference to the phase of every single thing at a particular moment. That's what time is referencing. Like that's what it's about. Like the idea is about that. Like trying to like how do we talk about things because everything's in flux. We have to like we have to talk about things, and as we're focusing on something, we're focusing on a phase of it, and we have to reference everything else that's currently in flux, that's shifting and changing. But a time moment is how we reference like this slice through everything and the phase at which everything was. That's all time is reference to. Time is a reference to that slice through. Do you see how I just explained it to you? And now these videos that people will put out like time and the blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, you're not saying anything. You don't get the concept. And so, but the whole time I had this feeling of like maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying that the way you guys are explaining it makes me know that you don't get the concept at all. So I can't listen to you because I get it so cleanly. I can't listen to your confusion because it doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna listen to something confused as if it has authority over my clean understanding that I can like feel with my fucking. Do you know what I mean? Yo, and so today was like a huge moment for me actually with this video coming through at the end of my breakfast block for my intellectual feed, or like my intellectual food moment, because I found out that I'm not actually motherfucking like, wrong. I'm not actually motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? I'm not actually goddamn fucking, I found out that I'm not actually motherfucking just like some random fucking person being like, bitch, time isn't real, because every time that I would even like see like, anytime I would try to like look up physics of math videos just like here and there to kind of like complete like my physics and math like nature, they would talk about time, and I'm always like, man, like maybe I'm wrong, like because they do bring up time, and like time, I'm like, do they talk about it how I talk about it? Like I don't know, like maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, you know what I know? And then literally, this video is like the Wheeler-DeWitt equation deletes time, universe becomes a static 4D block, and I was like, you said what? You said what? And then the video was like, yeah, like the Wheeler-DeWitt equation basically deleted time, and there's like sections of mathematics in the field of mathematics that are now devoted to bringing like the time factor back into equations because it just deleted it. It just didn't even reference it, and I was like, oh. I was like, right. I was like, there's words for this shit. And there's like scientists with actual like completed like what is it called? Like when a person completes a time, when a person completes like the process of like gathering information, understanding concepts that are very complicated, and then like gets a bank of knowledge on that topic and a bank of understanding on that topic that now can be said to say this is good enough to be given this degree called like the bachelor's in physics, or like for these guys like a PhD in physics, like that process of like gathering that bank of knowledge and gathering that bank of understanding. That's the process of study and getting a degree. That process, that like clump of like achievement. I don't have that, but I want it. But these people do have that clump of achievement. They put in the attention, the focus, the effort, the strain to understand the information and to like grasp the relationships and to just spend time absorbing information to just have the knowledge. And they're over here being like, yep, there's no time in my equations. And I was just like, bitch, this is so exciting for me because I'm like, oh my god, I'm not disseminating bullshit to the masses in my videos. That's nice to know. That's nice to know. At least like it feels like now there's two camps. There's the people who think of time as a thing that flows, which I'm just like, you bitches. And then there's the people who are like, time is a reference to like what I was talking about in my video like yesterday or the day before, where it's like just like I was literally talking about how like time can be understood as like when you draw a bunch of like things on little pieces of paper and you go like this and there's a movie. And I was like, right, like you're not managing time, you're managing like actions or like space, because to complete a thing in 3-dimensional space you have to like complete movements of your body doing things to change the phases of things. Like a human being is like the changer of phases of things to achieve a result that they decided they want to achieve because they're a designer and not just like a passive materium that the flux does whatever to. Like human beingness is about like designing like according to a desire to achieve a phase that has to be built up that wouldn't necessarily happen because of the fluxes, like, motions. Like I just described something clear for myself for the first time too. I'm like, oh, that's what human life is about, bitch. That's interesting. Like human nature, I mean, And so the point is, the thing I was describing that like came out of my own like way of like trying to explain what I understand time like. I was like, but this might be bullshit because I don't know. But like this is how I want to describe it to you because at least it's a way of thinking about it, And now I'm learning. I'm like, it wasn't bullshit at all. Like there's this other guy, Julian Barbour, who got his PhD from the University of Cologne in 1968, who thinks about it literally like this. And I was like, and like as I was watching this video, there was even like words that were used, like snapshots of like whatever the hell, and I was like, exactly that's what I was saying in my video, where it's like frames like from a movie, like, you know, and you're like you're learning to manage like frames that you need to include like in like space and like, you know, in like flux, so that you actually achieve a certain result, so that you can build up a certain like event, I guess, like consequence, like final like grand thing that you did achieved, you know, like created, made be. And so that's extremely exciting because I'm just like, you know, Julian Barbour wrote a book called The End of Time. It was published by Oxford Press in 1999. Want to read that book? And his concept, he described like, I don't know, he could describe it as Platonia. The universe is a static heap of instants, like these snapshots, you know? So now I'm just really excited, and like, I feel like backed up by reality, and like the fact that I'm not stupid, because I'm like, I had the same exact thought as like people who are genuine like PhD holders in physics, and people who have equations in math like and physics like named after them, where time is not even a fucking thing in the same way. And I wrote down like, you know, I watched the video for like the first time, but like there was this phrase like time is geometry and coordinates, not like a thing that flows. You know, time is not a thing. It's a reference to talk about everything, but it itself is not a thing. That's how I see it, and I was always like worried that I was wrong, because physics would be like something else. And maybe like once again, there's like maybe like directions of physics that does not agree with these guys or whatever. But I don't care, because I'm like, okay, but I'm like with these dudes. Because to me, it's so obvious because of that moment that I had in that art department building at the University of Chicago, when I was doing my like moment of just like original thinking, like by myself, like in that classroom with that notebook, like what the fuck. And then when I got that like visual in my head and the sensation in my belly, like the sense of it, you know? Yeah, it's like it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. So now I want to understand the idea. So I've been actually reading. My internet was no, my phone battery powered down the other day, and I was like, God damn, like I'm still in the mood to like imbibe information and like learn something and like be like informed and like interested in something. And so then I was like, maybe I'll read a book because I have to like wait for my phone to charge. And then I was like, what books do I have? Like I don't have any books that I want to read. And then I was like, well, actually, I looked at my shelf and I'm like, oh, I forgot I have this fucking book. It's the Kybalion. It's like the hermetic teachings of ancient Egypt and Greece, this book says. I don't know if it's true about the Greece part, because I'm pretty sure that the guy, Hermes Trismegistus, was Egyptian, bitch, because Europe always tries to fucking co-opt everything for itself or to insert itself. So maybe he was just from fucking, like, Kemet, bitch. Maybe, like, African people are super geniuses and not fucking a footnote to European history. But the point is, I was like, oh, let me read this book, because when I was under the power of Christian worry, I bought this book and I felt guilty because I was like, this is wrong. Like, this is like a cult. Like, not a cult, but it's like, as a Christian, you're not supposed to try to understand reality beyond what God gives you in the Bible or what God gives you through the Holy Spirit. So I was like, I bought the book, but I was like, man, like maybe I shouldn't read it. But now that I've been in this moment of actually like speaking things that don't make sense to me, I've gotten a bit of freedom to be like, I don't have to, like, the authority of the like Christian description of reality has kind of like, that man over there on that balcony is literally feeling like he's just staring at me. He probably isn't, but the way that he's oriented with his body is making me feel that way, and life is not something normal. So I'm just gonna go like this and close the damn fucking blinds. I don't like how that feels. Okay. But the Kybalion or whatever, I like picked it up. I was like, oh, I have like some freedom in like in the sense of like what's wrong, what's right, and what's dangerous and what's not dangerous inside of myself, because I have deauthorized to some degree the Christian description of reality and what I should and shouldn't do. And so I'm gonna read this book a little bit, and you know what's fucking interesting is that literally like the first principle is the principle of mentalism. And I was surprised that, because I once watched a video where about like hermetic teachings, you know, and it was like it talked about like mentalism, and I was surprised that like this book, which is written in a different language, it's not an American book, has the same like concepts. Made me feel like, oh, this is genuinely like authentic. Like that video was authentic, and this is authentic because they're talking about the same fucking thing. But the people talking about it are from two different continents and two different languages that have nothing to do with each other, and so, you know, um, from ancient Egypt, I'm translating, came the main secret and occult teachings that affected greatly the philosophy of all races, nations, and peoples during the course of many thousands of years. I kind of feel like this is Julian Barbour. I don't know if he's alive yet or not, but he apparently lived on a farm. Uh, this is one of the time guys who was like, time isn't the thing. It's just snapshots of like actions placed together to make like a picture book that looks like a movie when you know. You could also maybe say that time is a reference to the fact that there's motion. Anyway, but I low-key feel like he's like, because he was translating, like he made his money by translating things. Maybe like this is like him being like, you can make some money translating things because I know that you got no dough, and you're struggling with money. You're like struggling. You're like basically like barely making it meet, like barely making like, you know, like the basics of life. Your whole like 18 from 18 on like experience, like maybe you could translate low-key what it feels like right now. Uh but yeah, the principle of mentalism and how everything is mind, everything is everything is thought. So I'm like translating this as I'm reading it. Okay, the principle of mentalism, everything is thought. The universe, the seen universe is like a mental image. The seen universe is a mental image, you know. And then translating actually for me is really helpful to understand. Oh, maybe I can understand things better, faster if I translate between the two languages that I use, like that my brain like uses, you know, because like it's a different way of understanding something, and translating it from one language to another makes me really like understand like what's it trying to say, because you know words are just like approximations for something that's trying to be communicated or understood. They're not like actually, I mean, if you're a really good writer or speaker or user of language, you have a great body of have a huge knowledge of all kinds of concepts as in words, and you understand their etymology, so you understand like the human meaning at the very beginning of the history of that word, so that when you use words, all of that is also intact, because it's not as simple as just opening up a dictionary and seeing the definition written right there. It's about like the root and history. There's a word in like human biology or like human like the lineage of a word. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're a really good writer or speaker or user of language, you know like that the best way to like actually like dress meaning so that it like delivers or like translates into like audio or like physical is like to understand every word's goddamn lineage and like root and family and all that shit. And if you can motherfucking do that, your fucking communication or like your delivery of like meaning will be extremely powerful. You feel me? And so now the next thing I want to understand is like, okay, time, right? Hold on, let me read some more. This principle holds within itself the truth that everything is thought. This principle explains that everything that is presented as physical reality to translate this. I'm going to skip all that. Everything that presents itself as external physical reality is spirit with a capital S. That in itself, spirit, is not able to be known or determined, but it can be understood and considered as like, I guess, universal. This word literally means like all worlds, including all worlds, which is a little bit deeper as a statement than universal, because people hear the word universal so much, or the word universe so much, they don't really think about like what it means, you know? Like when you say like all worlds, it means like, damn, like all worlds, bitch, all parallel universes, parallel, you know, all goddamn fucking worlds possible out there, like universal, endless living reason. This word means reason. I wonder if it also could mean something else, like reasoning mind, reasoning consciousness. This principle also explains that the world of visible things, this word means like that which is like manifested, and that word is really like loaded as well, manifested, but it just means like, this word means like, now Buddhism coming through, bitch, because these ideas are in Buddhism too, of like cause and effect. Like I was studying Japanese Nichiren Buddhism, and it was talking about, I'm scared to bring it up because like I feel like anytime I think about it or talk about it or like bring it up, like some bad things happen right after. So I'm like, please don't let anything bad happen. Like, man. But the idea of like latent cause is a thing in Nichiren Buddhism, where it's like, well, I guess it could be more than just Nichiren Buddhism. It could be Chinese Buddhism too, because when I was reading those Buddhist books, it was mentioning Tiantai, who's like a Chinese Buddhist thinker, and that has something to do with Japanese Buddhism. So anyway, but in Buddhist thought, there's this idea of like latent cause, and then like, meaning like a cause, like a latent effect, like before the effect is visible and completed, it's already on its way, because the process of like time will make it become manifested, or like make it reach a certain phase or like level that means completion, as in like thing, you know? Maybe kind of like how birth is a thing. It's like at first there's like the cells dividing in the womb, and then at some point like you understand that the baby's on the way, but until the birth actually happens, there's no baby you can see. And so like this word that I'm looking at, it's like, this principle also explains that the world of like externalized, like not like the world of like manifested things, because like they were already happening, like before they were like visible and this like three-dimensional like existence, like they were already there, and then like processes were happening, and then like they like manifested, and now they're like visible, available for like three-dimensional physical knowing. But they were there like before they were physical, they were already there, you know? And so like, let's say like here is like that word means like the world of things that are manifested, and then like there's like all this spiritual, like non-physical energies. I don't know if energy is the right word, but like spiritual, whatever the fuck, that it can't be described as the book or understood, but it's there. And then like it's saying like the principle of mentalism, I guess, is saying that existence itself is actually this and not this, like primarily, like in essence, like the true, like, you know, it's, I'm trying to think, because I want to understand this idea, like this principle, because like all I want to know is how to make my life happen, and it feels to me like I have to understand these kinds of things in order to make it happen. And happen means like manifest into like the visible world, you know? Like, that's what it means. And so, like, human completion, like, what does it mean, the time rectangle of life? And, like, a human being's purpose is, like, to complete their specific task list of, like, their lifetime. And if they don't, they'll feel like they're going to hell in their spirit, because they'll feel like their life didn't happen, that they didn't happen. And that will feel like, and then it's over, and you'll feel like the finality of physical lifetime, and you'll be like, you can't console me, you can't make it better, because I didn't happen. And it's almost like, it's feeling like right now, like, the point of, like, human life is to learn how to understand these principles, to learn how to understand how to like, to become good at, like, your task list of things, you know, go to university, achieve a level of higher knowledge of math and physics, become a model, sing, right? These are like the physical, like, final result points that I have to hit. And it's almost like I have to understand how to, like, you know, because these things are like this, but I don't know how, currently they're here, they're potential, but they have to become actual. And I don't know how to do that, because all of that requires greater money making than what I've been able to do, which is just survival money, barely. It requires me to overcome, like, the trauma demons. It requires me to overcome evil. It requires me to overcome evil. No biggie. Do you know what I mean? It requires me to be, like, brave and, like, courageous and bold in the world with other people who want me to not be those things. Like, it requires me to overcome the exhaustion physically that I have from the trauma burden, and all of that is also here somewhere. There's a bunch of shit that I have to figure out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, all I want to do, and, like, this whole time thing, because people talk about, like, timelines and, like, there's different versions of you and all that crap. I don't understand that at all, but I want to understand what people are talking about in the same way that I didn't understand what people were talking about with time, and then I thought about it and tried to understand it, and then I got my clarity, and I've been chilling ever since. I'm like, if I could have the same experience when it comes to people talking about there's, like, all kinds of versions of you that are possible, and you're trying to experience as yourself, like, the version of you that's that, like, completed task list of you, because nothing else is like, if anything else happens, if anything besides the completed task list of your life happens, you're essentially going to hell spiritually. Oh my God. And so that, what I'm saying, like, in fact, is what I'm trying to say. Because, like, if you don't become those things that are your task list of completion in life during your time rectangle, you will feel ultimate misery, and nothing will make it better. It's like you can't find, like, a lover or a husband or money enough to soothe it, because, like, that's not the point. I didn't become myself. I'm dying without being born. Like, that's the fucking pain. And so it's like, wow, like, that really shifts things in my mind about, like, religion always, like, threatening hell and, like, removal from God. And it's like, instead of removal from God and hell through, like, Christian worldview as the thing to motivate your action, now it's like, like, take it out, and in its place put your task list of completion, and then like, watch how your life changes, because it's like, now you have a real thing to be afraid of. Now you have a real thing to be freaked out about. Now you have a real thing to actually be moral about. Now you have a real thing to actually be consistent and effortful about. Now you have a real thing to motivate religious devotion. Yes. Time blocks. Like, that's what deserves your religious devotion. Cutting through the distraction of the world and people that happens every day the second you step outside, and, like, that fight, that spiritual, quote unquote, that mental fight, that consciousness fight. I like those words so much better. That consciousness fight to keep your clarity, or you could say to keep your money, because clarity is like money, clarity is wealth, clarity is well-being, because money is not about showing off or getting toys. Money is about well-being and all rightness and survival. Like, that's what money is about. I'm like, I'm just trying to not be dead and like damaged. Like, that's what money is about. Like, having money means I'm alive and I'm all right. And I'm going to be alive and all right over time to the degrees of life development that I need to achieve so that I complete my task list for my lifetime in this time rectangle that I have. I have to have enough money for all of that. I have to figure out how to like get money into my hands to cover all of that I need to become. It's like, how do I do that? And so the next thing I want to understand is the idea of like, it's not an idea. The next skill that I want to, the skill that I need to be like, to have is to be able to live the timeline where I am completing all the things that I have to complete as myself as quickly as possible to the full completion of every single one of those lifetime tasks. Because if anything else happens, I'm going to be slightly in hell. And you know, like there's also this variable of like how much time, how long you're gonna have access to participating in, because I'm already participating because I'm born. How long I'm going to have access to physical dimension. And that's a variable that I have to like understand how to affect so that I have the time necessary, or like the access to physical dimension necessary for me to complete all of my shit, knowing that there are forces around that want me not to do that. Like, wow, this is the worst game ever. Like for me, as the avatar inside of it, like this might be a fun game for someone else who's evil, but like for me, this is like a nightmare, and it's like I can't complain about it or get depressed about it because it's actual reality, and getting like stuck in freaked out about the nature of existence for me as the avatar inside this game that is brutal and heartless. Therefore, there's no God, because like God would never do this to people. Like, that's terrifying. That is so scary. It's like, right, that's all the shit you've already been through. That's what I said in my other video, like a few days ago, when I was talking about watching The Matrix Reloaded, and like that clarity that I was getting where I was waking up from the monoculture. And one of the thing that like is the most important thing, possibly even, there's like two really important things. There's a task completion list, and then there's like the clarity of what's going on. And the clarity of what's going on is about like realizing like every single terrible thing you've gone through in the world is trying to tell you something about where you are. And the God concept and all these religious people constantly spewing all these incorrect descriptions of reality at you with a lot of what is it called when something has a lot of like power, so that although you can see that it's bullshit, the power that it has behind it still affects you, even though you don't want it to. And the power comes from all the people in the world who like give in to the stories told by religions. They are the ones powering the power of the religions to like affect people who are like, wait a second. Like one experience of a child being abused by an adult, the way that Catholic priests are known to abuse children, is enough to be like, oh, we live in like a terrible situation. But the power of divorcing people's awareness from the actual meaning of what reality must be, since certain things happen in it, the power of those institutions is so grand because of all the centuries of all these people of like being like giving into those ideas and like accepting them and supporting them through their mental consciousness, like being labeled under those religions, makes everyone go into this like state of like floating in like a kind of like numb and like a numbness of like not quite being able to call things what they are. Even people who are like critical of the way humans live, because you live inside of this like water as a fish, let's say, and the water is the monoculture, and the monoculture has all these chemicals in it that cause this like inability to sense reality, because until you decalcify your mind from false concepts like the God concept, your consciousness is going to be filtered through that stuff because you were born into it, into that water. And since you were a child, you were being like washed like with those ideas, and they've like determined how you sense reality. Does that make sense? Anyway. I'm trying to translate this sentence, but I don't know how to like. This principle also explains that the world of perceivable things, maybe that's the way to say it, perceivable, like instead of manifested, the world of perceivable things, like the three-dimensional perception, you know, the world of physically perceivable things, or the whole universe, is simply a mental creation of everything, bound to the laws of created things. What does that mean? I've never heard of that. Anyway, there's something I haven't been able to say cleanly and clearly in this video, and it's slightly frustrating to me, but today I had scheduled in my like time map of the day that like I need to make YouTube videos at some point. So I am shifting over my hair detangling session by about 1 hour. So now I'm not going to be recording videos later in the day. And actually I had this thought while I was planning. I was like, I'm not going to do it at the end of the day because the light will be gone. Like, I have to do it earlier. I'm probably going to do it after breakfast. So that's what's happening. And next I'm going to do the detangling of the hair that I don't want to do. I'm just, because it's just so like, it just feels impossible. Yeah, and then I'm going to go on with the rest of the day and its plans because of my time map in my app. Blockos. Oh, but I didn't mention like the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, like the universe becomes a static 4D block. I just thought it was so funny because I'm like, block, that's the word they actually use when describing this stuff. Like the app is called Blockos, like block of time. I just think it's so incredible. Like, so is there anything I want to like communicate to the living all world, including reason or reasoning consciousness? Please help me to achieve. I want to achieve the removal of all false thoughts or false concepts that cripple my thinking and perception as quickly as possible. And I want to have the installation of a sense of life where evil is not like a equal adversary to my desire to live and to not be defeated. I want to feel that evil is defeated and that it's not going to win. There's no such thing as like 50-50 possibility of evil winning over me. Like, that's what I want. And I also want the actual, like, what's the English word? I want the actual, like, because I have had a lifetime of being told to shut up and not exist and to erase myself, I don't have the habit of expressing, I don't have the habit of interacting with physical reality on the world as a playground in which I can